The sky was not supposed to be green. Leora knew that much, even as her vision blurred and her breath came in shallow, uneven gasps. Her species had studied countless star systems, catalogued alien atmospheres, and mapped the infinite tapestry of the cosmos, but nothing had prepared her for the sickly emerald glow that stretched above her like a wounded horizon. It meant she was far from home. Too far. The crash had been violent, she remembered that. The tearing scream of metal, the sudden loss of gravity stabilizers, the impact that felt like the universe itself had slammed into her chest. After that, there had only been silence. And now pain. Every part of her body ached. Her left arm refused to move. Her breathing was ragged, and something warm, too warm, was spreading beneath her. Blood. Not the bright crimson of humans, but the faint, luminous silver that marked her kind. She tried to sit up. Failed. The air here was heavy, laced with unfamiliar compounds. Her lungs struggled to process it, adapting too slowly. Her species could survive in varied environments, but not without time, and she didn't have time. Her eyes drifted toward the wreckage. The escape pod had split open like a broken shell. Half of it lay embedded in the ground, the rest scattered across the jagged terrain. Smoke, or something like it, rose in thin spirals into the alien sky. No signal beacon. No communication system. No rescue. They had abandoned her. A faint, bitter realization settled in her mind. Not out of cruelty, but out of necessity. Her ship had been under attack. The others, they had escaped. Or died. There was no way to know. But she had been left behind. And on a world like this, that was the same as a death sentence. Her breathing slowed. Her body was shutting down, conserving what little energy remained. Her vision dimmed at the edges, darkness creeping inward like a closing fist. This was how it ended. Not in the vastness of space, not in the glory of exploration, but alone, broken, forgotten on a world that would never know her name. Her eyes closed. And then, a sound. Faint, distant, rhythmic. Footsteps. Her instincts surged weakly to life. Danger. Unknown presence. Possible threat. Her eyes flickered open. Through the haze, she saw a shape approaching. Tall. Unfamiliar. Moving cautiously across the uneven ground. Not one of her own. Not one of the attackers. Something else. Something new. The figure stopped a few steps away. And for a moment, neither of them moved. Daniel Reyes had seen strange things before. That was part of the job. Working as a scavenger on the outer colonies meant dealing with abandoned stations, crashed ships, and sometimes things that were better left untouched. But nothing had prepared him for what he was seeing now. The creature lying before him, it wasn't human. That much was obvious. Its form was humanoid, yes, 2 arms, 2 legs, but everything else was different. Its skin shimmered faintly, almost translucent, with a soft silver glow that pulsed in time with its weak heartbeat. Its features were delicate, almost fragile, yet there was something undeniably powerful about it. And it was dying. Daniel crouched slowly, keeping his movements calm, deliberate. Hey, easy, he muttered, though he knew it probably couldn't understand him. The alien's eyes opened. They were unlike anything he'd ever seen. Deep, luminous, shifting with faint hues of blue and violet. And they locked onto him with sudden, sharp awareness. For a split second, Daniel froze. There was intelligence there. Fear. And something else. Expectation. Yeah, he said quietly, raising his hands slightly. I'm not here to hurt you. The alien tried to move. A mistake. Pain surged through its body, and a faint, almost soundless cry escaped its lips. Daniel winced. Okay, don't move, he said quickly. You're hurt. Bad. He glanced around, mind racing. This world, designated K-47 by the colony, wasn't exactly welcoming. The terrain was harsh, the wildlife unpredictable, and the atmosphere barely breathable without filtration. Leaving this creature here wasn't an option. But taking it back? That was something else entirely. Unknown species, unknown biology, unknown risks. Protocol would say to report it, to let the authorities handle it. But Daniel had been out here long enough to know what that meant. Quarantine, containment, dissection. He looked back at the alien. Its eyes were still fixed on him, though they were dimming again, losing strength. If he walked away now, it would die. A long silence stretched between them. Then Daniel exhaled slowly. Yeah, I'm gonna regret this, he muttered. Carefully, very carefully, he slid his arms beneath the alien's body. It was lighter than he expected. Fragile. As he lifted it, the alien tensed slightly, a flicker of instinctive resistance. But it didn't fight, didn't try to escape. It just watched him. Hang on, Daniel said. I've got you. And for reasons he couldn't explain, he meant it. The journey back to his outpost was slow. Painfully slow. Daniel had to navigate uneven terrain, avoid unstable ground, and keep a constant watch for predators. All while carrying a being that might not survive the trip. Several times, he thought he felt it go completely still. Each time, his grip tightened. Hey, he murmured. Stay with me, okay? You don't get to die on me after I went through all this trouble. No response. But the faint glow of its skin persisted. When he finally reached the outpost, a small, reinforced structure perched on the edge of a rocky plateau, he was exhausted. But he didn't stop. He carried the alien inside, laid it gently on the main table, and immediately began assessing its injuries. All right, he muttered, pulling out his med kit. Let's see what we're working with. The problem was he had no idea what he was working with. Different anatomy, different physiology. Even the structure of its bones, what he could feel of them, seemed wrong. But some things were universal. Blood loss, shock, trauma. He started there, cleaning the wounds as best he could, applying pressure, using a low-grade regenerative gel, hoping it wouldn't cause a reaction. At first, nothing happened. Then, the alien's body reacted. Its skin glowed brighter, the silver hue intensifying as the gel spread across its injuries. The wounds began to close. Daniel blinked. Well, I'll be damned. Encouraged, he continued. Hours passed. Slowly, carefully, he worked, and eventually, the alien's breathing stabilized. Its glow softened, and for the first time since he'd found it, it looked peaceful. Daniel leaned back, letting out a long breath. All right, he said quietly. You're not dead. He rubbed his face, exhaustion catching up to him. Guess that makes two of us. Leora woke to warmth. Not the harsh, suffocating heat of the alien world, but something controlled, gentle, steady, safe. Her eyes opened slowly. The first thing she noticed was the light. Different, artificial. The second thing she noticed was him, the human. He sat nearby, slumped in a chair, clearly asleep. His breathing was slow, even. One hand rested loosely on the table, as if he had fallen asleep mid-motion. Leora studied him. Her mind was clearer now, though still weak. Her body was healing, slowly but undeniably. That shouldn't have been possible, not without advanced medical technology. And yet, she looked down at her arm. The wound, once severe, was now little more than a faint mark. He had done this human. Why? She searched her memory for answers, for understanding. Her species had encountered humans before, though only at a distance. They were unpredictable, emotional, capable of both great kindness and terrible destruction. But this was something else. He had found her, and instead of leaving her to die, he had chosen to save her. A soft movement caught her attention. Daniel stirred, shifting slightly before his eyes opened. For a moment, he looked disoriented. Then he saw her, and froze. They stared at each other in silence. Then, slowly, carefully, Daniel sat up. "Well," he said, voice rough with sleep. "You're awake." Leora tilted her head slightly. Understanding his language wasn't immediate, but her species had adaptive cognition. It didn't take long. "You saved me," she said, her voice soft, unfamiliar even to her own ears. Daniel blinked. "Okay," he said after a moment. "Wasn't expecting that." A faint smile touched his lips. "But yeah, I guess I did." Leora studied him for a long moment. Why? The question hung in the air. Simple, direct, and far more complicated than it seemed. Daniel leaned back, slightly considering. Then he shrugged. "Didn't feel right to leave you," he said. "That's about it." Leora's gaze didn't waver. "That is illogical." "Yeah," Daniel said with a small chuckle. "Humans tend to be like that." Another silence. But this one felt different. Less uncertain. Less fragile. "You were left behind," Daniel added quietly. "Right?" Leora hesitated, then nodded. "Yes." Something in his expression shifted. Understanding. Maybe even a hint of anger. "Yeah," he said softly. "I know what that feels like." Leora blinked. For the first time, she didn't feel alone. Days passed. Then weeks. Leora recovered faster than either of them expected. Her species' natural regenerative abilities, combined with Daniel's care, allowed her to regain her strength steadily. But she didn't leave, even when she could. Part of it was practical. Her ship was gone, her communication systems destroyed. She had no way to contact her people. But part of it was him. Daniel was unlike anyone she had ever known. He spoke freely, often rambling about things she didn't fully understand, his past, his life on the colony, the strange habits of humans. He asked questions, too, about her species, her world, the stars she had seen. And slowly, a connection formed. Not just between two beings from different worlds, but between two individuals who had both, in their own ways, been left behind. One evening, as the green sky darkened into something resembling night, Leora stood outside the outpost, gazing upward. Daniel joined her. "Still weird, huh?" he said. "Yes," she replied. "Your sky is unsettling." He chuckled. "Yeah. Took me a while to get used to it." They stood in silence for a while. Then, "My people will come," Leora said softly. "Eventually." Daniel nodded. Figured. Another pause. "And when they do," she continued, "I will have to leave." There it was. The inevitable. Daniel exhaled slowly. "Yeah," he said. "I figured that too." He didn't look at her. Didn't trust himself to. Leora turned slightly, studying him. "You are not surprised." "Nah," he said. "Just not thrilled about it." A faint flicker of something passed through her expression. Something almost human. "You changed my fate," she said. "On this world, I would have died." Daniel shrugged lightly. "Guess I couldn't let that happen." Leora stepped closer. Close enough that he could see the faint glow of her skin in the dim light. "Then allow me," she said softly, "to change yours." Daniel frowned slightly. "What do you mean?" Leora met his gaze. "When my people come, I will not leave you behind." The words hung in the air. Heavy. Impossible. "Leora," Daniel started, but she shook her head gently. "You saved me," she said. "Not because you had to. Not because it benefited you. but because you chose to. Her voice softened. That is not illogical, she added quietly. It is rare. Daniel didn't know what to say, so he didn't. He just stood there, looking at her, as the alien skies stretched endlessly above them. For the first time since he had arrived on this world, he felt like maybe, just maybe, he wouldn't be alone forever. Weeks later, the sky changed. A distant light appeared, bright, unmistakable. A ship. Leora stood at the edge of the plateau, watching as it descended. Daniel stood beside her. So this is it, he said. Yes, she replied. The ship landed with a low, resonant hum. Figures emerged, tall, luminous like her. Her people. They approached cautiously at first, then with growing urgency as they saw her. Relief. Shock. Disbelief. She spoke to them in her native language, quick, fluid, impossible for Daniel to understand. Then she turned back to him. They wish to thank you, she said. Daniel shrugged. Tell them it's nothing. Leora smiled faintly. It is not nothing. She extended her hand, a gesture she had learned from him. Come, she said. Daniel hesitated, looked at the ship, at the sky, at the life he had known, then at her. Yeah, he said quietly. He took her hand, and for the second time in his life, he chose the unknown. But this time, he wasn't alone. As the ship rose into the emerald sky, leaving the harsh world behind, Leora looked at the human beside her, the one who had found her, saved her, changed her fate, and in doing so, had forever changed his own. The stars stretched out before them, endless, waiting, and this time, neither of them was afraid.